You look amazing.
If you have ever wondered what happens to your food scraps after you put them in your at-home compost bin, well, this is it. Check out this pile behind us. This is the freshest compost pile, and I can see recognizable food scraps. I'm surprised there's not like raccoons in here having a breakfast or something, because I see oranges, I see peppers, and so much more. So this is pretty fresh. Allie, do you know how new this is?
Yeah, so this is our active pile. So we're dumping in here 3 different times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're getting collections throughout the county, and our driver Arnie is coming and dumping in this pile.
So this is the culmination of the folks who are part of the pickup program?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our pickup program, basically it's super easy. It's as easy as throwing your trash away at home, throwing away your recycling at home. All we're doing is we're adding the option of a third stream and eliminating just a massive amount of waste that would be going to the landfill otherwise. So it's super easy to sign up. We sign people up over the phone. You can sign up at our website at partridgecreekcompost.org. It takes about 5 minutes. You enter your service address. We have 2 different options. You can sign up for every other week pickups or weekly pickups. We give homes a 5-gallon bucket that's lined with a compostable liner to help keep that clean and keep the mess low. Basically, homes get a bucket right when they sign up. You just toss everything that ever lived in it, including meat, dairy, cheese, bones, fish, like soiled paper products, all of these things that you wouldn't necessarily want to put in a backyard pile. Mm-hmm. You can compost with us because we are an industrial compost facility. And yeah, it's kind of just a toss and go. You set it out, your bucket out at your curbside every week. If you've got pizza boxes, you can put those below the bucket. We'll take those too. We can help out with yard waste as well. And we just carry it away from your curbside. So you really don't have to leave your home, and you can compost, and you don't have to put in the time, materials, equipment if you're not interested in starting your own home pile.
Because I do have to point out, it is a little bit smelly. There's a smell that comes with the compost. So this is a really great option for the people that want to be green, but they don't necessarily want to take all of those extra steps. And it's just as simple as we all put our garbage out and our recycling out once a week for the waste to pick up. So it's just one more bucket that you've got to put on the side of the curb.
Yeah, super easy. It's one more bucket, but it really couldn't possibly be easier. We created a program that everyone can participate in without a whole lot of effort and can feel really good about the impact that they're having every single day in building soil rather than building an environmental problem.
Now, there are several piles here throughout this land. I guess, how long does it take to compost, and how often are you making new piles?
Yeah, so I'm going to ping pong this one to Phil because he's going to talk a little bit about the actual process of composting.
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the time of year and the weather, but typically things cease to be recognizable after about 6 weeks, and usually after about 6 months, the compost is ready to be sifted and put back out into a new garden to grow new food. So the way that our site is designed, it's on a slight slope that goes both this way and this way, and that's so that water doesn't pool. This is what keeps us compliant with Part 115. Water doesn't pool on the site. It all travels to this drainage ditch or down to that retention pond. And because our site slopes this way, we use gravity to our advantage. So our newest pile is always the one furthest towards this side of the site. We add material to the front end of the pile, and as soon as it gets long enough, we start the next one. Now, compost, there's a federal definition of compost. Compost has to be something that is it needs to sit at least 131 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 days and be turned 3 times in those 15 days. That's the bare minimum that allows us to call it compost. So every time we turn these piles, in the summer it's about every 2 days, in the winter it's about every week, letting us get that third one right before the 15 days run out. We want to keep the heat in the piles in the winter and kind of release some of the heat in the summer. If it gets too hot, those nutrients cook out, and if it gets way too hot, it can be a fire hazard. So we try and keep our piles between 131 and about 165. Every time we turn them, Arn will take the tractor, he'll kind of pick this pile up and move it a few feet downhill. And as the piles migrate down that way, they're further along in their composting process until we get to the end. Those are our finished piles and our screener in the background where we kick out any any sticks that were too big to break down, the occasional rubber glove that ended up in there and didn't get pulled out when it came into the site. And on the other end is this beautiful, smooth, fine-grained compost that's ready to put on any lawn, garden, tree, or shrub, or potted plant and grow the plants of your choice with.
Can we start to take a walk down there towards
Yeah.
the finished piles?
So let's take a little look in these piles as we go by. Here we can see peppers and oranges and all sorts of paper products. As we get down here, there's no recognizable food. What we see here that hasn't broken down yet is some of this compostable serveware. Now these are a great example. These are kind of partway through their composting process. These are the cold drink cups from Northern Michigan University. Northern Michigan's our largest partner. Our 2024 stats had about 60% of our incoming waste coming from Northern Michigan University. They've done a tremendous job to kind of reorient their purchasing and their dining program to replace almost everything with compostable alternatives. So if they're short on dish staff and they need to use disposable plates, cups, silverware and whatnot, all of that is compostable and it all comes here. But these take a lot longer to break down than, say, a bell pepper that we saw in the other pile. These need to sit at that above 131 degrees for a few weeks before they start to break down. Here's one that's a little fresher. This is, well on its way. Pretty soon these will start kind of splintering into little bits and they just revert to their, long starch chains and become soil again. So in here we can see, there's some big sticks, there's some compostable serveware, there's some of our compostable liners here that are still in the process of breaking down. And as we get further down there, that stuff starts to disappear as well. And by the time we get to the end, it's pretty much all good, nice brown, healthy material.
So it's the whole purpose of this is to create nutrient-rich soil. That's why I said at the beginning, from food scraps to a food surplus. Hopefully this can be used in our gardens here in the Upper Peninsula. Is that something that when people are a part of this program, they get some of that soil back, or is that a separate thing to purchase?
Well, it's a little of both. So there are a lot of companies, compost companies around the Midwest that do give compost back. We opted, instead of doing a compost give back, to give a hefty discount to our curbside subscribers. And the main reason for that is a lot of our curbside subscribers live in apartments where they don't have a need for compost, and we just wanted to make a system that felt fair and equitable to everyone. We didn't want people with a large garden to get tons of compost, and people in an apartment to feel like they were missing out on something. So what we did instead is we decided to just offer our best bulk pricing at any volume to our curbside customers. So that's 30% off bagged compost, 20% off bulk compost, and 10% off merchant apparel for any curbside customer.
And there's that stream you were talking about, the runoff water that goes downhill. All right, well, we're coming up on time to take another commercial break. We'll pick up this conversation when we return.